This is Greg Troutwine, and we're here today with Rusty Morgan, the Vice President of Propspeed, to discuss his company's recent push into the commercial maritime space. Rusty, to start, can you give an overview, a by-the-numbers look at Propspeed today using the metrics of your choice?
Yeah, sure thing, Greg. Thanks a lot for having me. Propspeed is an interesting company. We've been around for 21 years. The company's based in New Zealand. We still do all of our manufacturing in New Zealand. And we've been involved in the commercial space since the beginning, right? We've been working on some ferries in New Zealand and Australia and that sort of thing, but we really haven't made a concerted effort to really get out there in front of the commercial customers until very recently, because we've kind of changed some things around our business and been able to scale up quite a bit. For example, we now have 3 warehouses in North America. We have a warehouse in North America. We have one in Europe. We have one in New Zealand, obviously. So we can service the whole Americas, EMEA, and the Asian markets, which means that today, especially in 2021, when there's often supply chain issues, we can counteract that with the fact that we have a global outreach. So we have distribution partners in over 30 countries, and we've got a on-the-ground sales staff of 15 people that can really get down in the trenches with our customers. And with the commercial sector, it's really important that you work directly alongside them to make sure that they get the product where they need to and onto the ships that it needs to be on.
But when you look at where you are today, can you discuss specifically what was the impetus for this renewed look at the commercial market?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the world has changed a lot in 21 years, especially in terms of commercial operators. Whether you look at it in terms of the tiered engine regulations, greenhouse gases, aquatic invasive species, corrosion protection, maintenance, and everybody's kind of looking at everything through the lens of how much is this going to cost me at the end of the day, and whether that's satisfying the regulatory requirements or just building your profits as a company. So some of the things that we've discovered is that with a product like Propspeed, let's just look at it in terms of fuel savings, right? That's really the big one. When you look at commercial operators in the past, they had really been chartering the ships and not really worrying too much about the fuel costs because they'll pass that along to the charterer. And now the people who are chartering the ships are starting to look at it more in the lens of, hey, what are you guys doing from a company standpoint as the operator of the ship to reduce the fuel cost? What's your paint scheme look like? How often are you having these vessels dove on? What's your service all out? How are you saving me money as the person who's chartering the ship? 20 years ago, I think that was less of a conversation that was in the forefront. And now it's becoming much more. So now we see a lot of companies that have reached out directly to us to say, hey, we're looking for a solution. Do you have something that would help us become more profitable or become more environmentally friendly? Particularly in terms of aquatic invasive species, right? The focus used to be a lot on ballast water. And now they're starting to look at hull fouling and general machinery fouling, such as your props and shafts and appendages. And there's some regulations that are coming down the pike in the next couple of years that are going to force these companies to think about those things, right? So now, if you're a commercial ship operator, you have to come up with a plan and be very deliberate about what you're doing with that. And our product falls right in line with that, right? At the end of the day, if you're keeping your props clean, that means that there is no aquatic invasive species that are attached to those propellers. So those types of things have really kind of accelerated the importance of getting products like these into the market. And it's been really good for us because we've been able to connect with customers that can really benefit from the products and make the most of them.
Rusty, in the recent press announcement, just basically discussing Propspeed's push into the commercial space, they referenced the Propspeed commercial kit. Can you give us a little oversight on that? What's included? What does it aim to deliver, and what does it cost?
Yeah, absolutely. So our product initially was developed for the recreational market, right? So our kit size was smaller and designed for smaller props. And when we're talking smaller props, we're thinking, anything from 12 inches to maybe 36 or 50 inches in diameter. And that's ships that are, boats that are between, say, 25 feet and 100 feet. And when we started, that was kind of our target. Now you get into commercial ships, obviously you have things as large as a Panamax cruiser. But to be honest, our target customer for the commercial kit is going to be operators with boats between 80 feet and 400 feet. So we get into larger propeller sizes, larger rudder sizes, larger shafts, everything else. So the commercial kit is essentially multiplying our largest kit by a factor of 4, right? So rather than stopping at that 50-inch propeller, the commercial kit is going to tackle propellers between 65 and 80 inches. So you'll get about 153 square feet of coverage out of that kit. So for example, if you're going to coat a set of wheels that was maybe 120 inches in diameter times two commercial kits will suffice for that application. And now you don't have to open a whole bunch of smaller cans of paint. You have a more commercial focused kit that's designed for people that are operating on these larger scales. And that was the impetus for us kind of developing this kit, because from an operational standpoint, right, I've spent time in these shipyards, we've done these applications, we've done a huge amount of testing and figure out what works for these applicators. If you can't get the application right, the product is not going to work right. So it's really important for us to make sure that this is a product that's going to work for the applicator. Now, in terms of price, compared to purchasing the same equivalent amount of product compared to our larger kit, the commercial kit is going to be priced right now at $1,999 in the US, so just a hair under $2,000, which is a slight savings over purchasing the smaller kits. Quantities of scales is really important. And inside the kit, we include basically an analog of everything that would be in our smaller kits. So you have our etching primer, you have our clear coat. It contains an adequate solvent for cleaning your surfaces, as well as our acid prepping primer. So just the same as in our smaller kits, you have everything in one box that you're going to need to complete that application successfully, but geared towards the scale that our commercial operators are going to really appreciate.
So Rusty, without giving away any of your trade secrets, can you discuss how the product is formulated to help protect vessels from marine growth and corrosion?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's first talk about corrosion, because I think that that's one of these things that for the commercial sector is very important. Cost of maintenance and being able to keep that asset in the water longer is really critical. So our product, the primer that we use is a zinc-based primer, and it's topped with a silicone top coat. That's no secret. Everybody knows it, but I'll tell you this, not all silicones are created equal, right? So we have formulated our kit in a way that is going to kind of maximize your corrosion protection. So you've got this great corrosion protection primer, and you made that with this excellent silicone top coat. So not only are you protecting metal on a molecular level by having this corrosion inhibitor as a primer, you're coating that in an electrical insulatory silicone coating. So you're protecting against corrosion just from the basis of losing the ions on your, copper, bronze, or stainless piece of metal. You're also insulating it from electrical corrosion, which is a pretty big source of corrosion. Now, to the second part of your question, talking about keeping these appendages clean, right? Silicone has a very, very high contact angle, right? And that means that it's very difficult for barnacles, any marine growth, to attach. And when you talk about maintenance in terms of making sure that a commercial customer's asset is going to be performing well over the course of their service life, it's really important to make sure that their propellers are clean for the entire time. A lot of companies are achieving this by having divers go down and polish the propeller, usually on a 3 or 6 month schedule. Well, the benefit in our product is that when you put it on your propeller or rudder shaft or whatever it is, you're going to maintain that performance that you get on day one all the way through the service life of the product. So that means that rather than a vessel progressively losing speed and performance over their service life, they're going to maintain what they had on day one without having to schedule divers. And again, to get back to one of the questions you asked earlier about why is this changed from before, right? Some of that regulatory stuff that's coming down has resulted in difficulty in getting your propellers polished in certain ports, right? For aquatic invasive species, that sort of thing. And environmental reasons also. So rather than having a company ending up with down days trying to maintain their assets in the field, they can have the peace of mind that their propeller and appendages are going to be protected during that time without additional services.
Sounds like you have a lot of great opportunities ahead of you, but when you look at the market today, where do you see opportunity by region, by vessel niche, or by both?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, our core focus for the commercial kit for Propspeed is mainly in passenger vessels, service vessels, and basically commercial vessels that have a dry dock schedule of about 24 months. And typically that's going to be boats that are less than 400 feet. 400 feet is about the top end that we quote today. Maybe that'll change in the future, but those vessels, like for example, passenger vessels, are going to haul once a year for their Coast Guard inspection. So it's a perfect interval to service the Propspeed, make sure it's working well. And that would include, passenger vessels, whether it's cruise ships that are servicing offshore platforms, the OSVs that are going out to the oil platforms, oftentimes wind farm service vessels, and of course your ferries and your dinner cruise boats and that sort of thing. And that group is a perfect opportunity for us because they have that service cycle that's going to jive with our product, as well as the fact that these vessels are often operating 24 hours a day, which means that they're going to get the maximum benefit out of the fuel savings and corrosion protection that we offer.
Excellent. Rusty, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to talking to you again, perhaps in person in the future.
I hope so, Greg. Thanks so much.